What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Make It Kustom. I'm Carl Fisher, and I'm back on the 1939 Zephyr 3-window project. This thing was a 4-door Zephyr, and I picked this up years ago, started on it, and now I'm back trying to get this 3-window happening. In the last videos, we got this roof skeleton sort of all kind of lined up, hammered out. So what I'd like to do in this video is start on making some of the panels. So I've got the roof panel and this catwalk area. I'd love to tackle that in this video. I'm gonna use the power hammer and whatever tools I got at my disposal to try and get this done and make sure that it looks right. So I'm gonna be going over kind of step by step how I'm gonna do this. Should be a great video, and I'm just kind of learning, so hopefully you guys are learning too, and we are going to not screw it up. Or we'll screw it up and then we'll fix it. Whatever. Let's get into it. Okay, so first things first is I think that this panel here will be relatively simple, and it's similar to a panel that I've already made. I did a trunk lid for Elio's Roadster recently with the power hammer, and I've been playing with it on and off. It does hit pretty hard, so I did overstretch the last panel I made for it after I made the trunk lid for Elio's car. So I'm gonna have to be careful with that. Also, the shape itself, we gotta kind of read the shape a little bit. And what I'm reading from this shape is that it's flatter in this area and then sort of curves down a little bit more here. And you can kind of see the evidence by how much of a radius it has here versus here. It's a little bit flatter. So what that tells me is that most of the stretch is going to be happening further to the back of this panel. So the pattern that I lay out and the way that I hammer it will have to be as such. More stretch in the center as it goes out, but that center isn't always the center of the panel. It's going to be closer to the rear of this panel to try and get the desired shape that we want. I don't have sweeps. Sweeps are basically a gauge that is it's like a ruler that has a curve on it. And they call them a sweep because they're just massive radiuses, and I don't have those, although I should probably cut myself out a set. But what I'm gonna need for this, I believe, is to make myself a couple of sweeps by doing the same kind of skeleton as we've got here. I think that I should have a sweep that I can check the panel with this way and check the panel with this way as we're making it. So I think that I should probably do that. Yeah. As much as it's more time, I think it's probably very important. I did make a set of sweeps, not sweeps, but gauges. These were for the side of the car. Here, I'll just pull one out. You can see what I mean. When this car was a 4-door, the body profile, like the side profile, got completely cut away. All that structure got completely cut out. The front door, the rear pillar, all that got completely cut out. And so in order for me to know where to put it back to, I would probably have had a very difficult time without making this. So I made this and stretched it to the profile of the body before I took it apart. So this was how I got my profile back for this car. So it's been kind of kicked around a little bit and bent since then, but still kind of gives you the idea. And then that smaller one that you can see laying in the bottom of this messy car is the vertical profile that I was checking my quarter panel piece with. You can check out all those videos on the Zephyr playlist, and all these videos will be on there. So I'll link that in the bottom of this video if you'd like to check it out. If you haven't seen the project yet, we go through every single step from literally me buying the car all the way to where we are now. So I'm gonna get into this and start with making a couple of profiles that I think I'll need, like those sweeps I'm talking about, and then I'll lay out the size panel I need and get a piece of sheet metal cut. I am using 18 gauge cold rolled steel. It's a little bit harder to use than what the original material would have been. The original material of these cars, old American cars, was usually 19 gauge like deep draw stamping material, so it's a little bit softer and a little bit thinner, but I don't have 19 gauge. I don't want to use 20 gauge and make it thinner than the original metal, so I am going to use the next best thing, which is 18 gauge cold rolled steel, and we'll have at it. Okay, so something that I'm gonna do a little differently than making these pieces is I'm actually gonna stretch these into shape so that they're actually, like the flat side is the bottom. So to get that curve, I'm just gonna stretch this top edge and basically make something that has a similar profile to this, that flows with the center of the window to the top of the roof. That'll be like my center gauge. And then I'm also gonna do one this way that will give that crown. So it'll be a similar crown to this, and that may be kind of somewhere in between a bit. This will help me visualize like the gaps underneath to know where any more work needs to be done, any more shape needs to be hammered into it. This will be a low crown stretch with the power hammer. Where this area is kind of flatter and then curves means that towards the back, I think I already said this in the beginning, we'll have kind of the highest point of stretch, and then we'll kind of pattern it out from there. I've got it pretty close. I've been kind of swapping it back and forth just to make sure that it fits pretty good both sides. I did leave a little bit of gap here because I think there's a little bit of sag in this roof panel, and it does transition to a much sharper curve by the time it gets to the back window. So that's where this gauge is gonna come into play, but like when we check it on the middle of the roof, it'll still be mostly this shape. And as it comes back, it might peak out a little bit, or we might even try and bring this down a little bit, flex it to match. I think that's also the difference between the stamping for this. This apparently is the same window as, you know, 4-door to 3-window coupe, but the shape of the car near the back, because the car tapers skinnier, so this would be a higher crown. It makes sense, right? So I think that we will have to kind of massage this down a little bit to flatten it out essentially. So I'm happy with this gauge. Now I'm just gonna make a gauge for the center here, and then we'll cut a piece of sheet metal, lay out our pattern, and get to the power hammer. So there we go. We've got our piece here. I did leave this a little bit high so that you see how this has a bit of a gap. When we pull that down, a little bit, that gap closes. So this is probably more accurate to what we actually want to see. And we're looking pretty good here on the profile. You know, as accurate as you can make it is gonna make everything easier, is what I find. You know, anytime you're doing a step in this stuff, like you're patient, you take your time, you can trust your gauge, right? If the gauge is a little bit off and you're like, oh, it's good enough, I'll move on. Then you gotta remember where that thing was a little bit off, or that little bit off can compound, right? So I try to make things as accurate as possible as you're going. It's just a good habit to be in. I know it can be frustrating, but there's that. Our other gauge fits pretty good this way. And I did leave just a tiny bit proud there, just because of the little bit of sag that just the weight of this probably has right now. Okay, I'm going to measure out a piece. I'm going to cut a piece, and we are going to shape a piece. All right, well, this is what I've kind of laid out. I know that this is the center of the crown. Perhaps this box needs to be a little bit wider because there's more form going this way and it's quite shallow this way. This is just a guideline. We're gonna keep checking it with the sweeps after each pass. And I'm gonna try and do this relatively, I'm not gonna say fast, but like this, there's not a whole lot of shape in here. And the last time I used the power hammer to like demonstrate a low crown at one of the classes, I went too far on like the first go, which was me just kind of like dwelling too long in spots and going slow. So we're gonna just kind of go a little bit faster and loop the panel up and give her a shot. Okay, so when building a low crown, goes for English wheel, planishing hammer, power hammer, whatever. Well, when building any shape with stretching, you're trying to get a compound curve. There's always going to be more stretch in the center than there is gradually going out. So this pattern is basically so that I go, I'll hit that center spot, and then I'll hit the second layer, like, you know, and then the third layer, and then the fourth layer, and the fifth layer. And every time you go out onto another layer, it's tracing over that center spot and that second spot. So by the time you get the fifth layer, this one's been hit 5 times, 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, 1 time. And that's how it's gonna gradually build that shape out. So wish me luck. We might make some scrap today, I'm not sure, but hopefully we come out with a panel. Okay, we definitely have some crown in it. It's gonna be a little bit happening this way. Now, we obviously can't really know how things are going unless we check it with our sweeps. Obviously, long way to go. I mean, this is not bad, actually at this end. We definitely need some more in the center here. How are we doing with this guy? Yeah, still tons. We still need tons. Wow. It's wild how much shape there is in a low crown, you know? That's quite a bit of crown, I guess. I guess we'll work that same pattern again. I do think that we still need so much here that we'll probably shift our pattern focus into the center a little bit more. And we'll keep going. At least we didn't screw it up yet. All right, well, I kind of turned up the hammer a little bit, just made it hit a little bit harder. And this is what we've got. I know that this center needs to be, like with the weight on it, it's kind of like that. That's looking like really good. And it's still a bit high here, so we're gonna have to, like I would say it's pretty close. Like this has to come down a little bit. Like we want to push that down a little. And then here's our other gauge that it's like that. And with this up a little bit, yeah, we're getting close. Like we basically need maybe a little bit more in this area, like a few more passes right there, but I think this has developed plenty. I haven't wiped the panel yet, but you can kind of see in the light line, it's pretty consistent. Yeah, we're getting there. I got to be careful at this point. I don't want to overdevelop it, although you can get it back. So basically, as it was explained to me by Mr. Mike Wagner, Cornfield Customs, go check out his channel. We're actually probably going to have a class together again in Ohio at his place in the future, so watch out for that. He'll be announcing it and myself at some point here once we agree on dates. But because Radial Stretch developed the panel, Radial Stretch can also reverse that. So we've stretched a whole bunch in the center, and if we overdevelop, then we can do the exact opposite and let that shape out. So if I do go a little bit too far, I can fine tune it a little bit by pulling some of the shape out of it. So yeah, I've only been at the panel for probably an hour, not even an hour, probably half an hour, 40 minutes. And just by simple adjustments in this hammer, you can make it just hit so much harder. So basically what I did is I increased the stroke a little bit so that this would come down further, and that allows it to hit harder. I'm probably gonna turn down the speed a little bit and try and fine tune that area I was talking about right in the center here. Once it's close, we'll throw some Cleco holes in it and Cleco it on, and then kind of move on to the next panel. Yeah, I'd say we're doing pretty good here. That shape to me, it flows pretty good. So I'm not sure if, you know, the gauge is really like, basically like that is perfect. Up top here. And then it starts to get to a little bit higher crown shape as it comes to that back window. And I'm just not sure if that's how it wants to be or if it's supposed to be flatter. Like I know that that higher crown, as we talked about, is probably because of the it being a 4-door back window. But at the same time, this also flows with that higher crown. Like if we brought this down, basically these would have to come up, which also wouldn't really work. So just looking at the profile of everything, it looks so good that I'm not sure that I'm gonna go much farther with it. I'm also terrified to go farther with it because it looks so good right now. So yeah, I think I'm gonna just kind of play with it. I'm gonna feel it, use a piece of paper towel. Another trick I learned, I guess it's a bodyman technique as well, is you make it so that your hand can slide really easily. Use a paper towel, and you'll be able to feel any of the imperfections in the panel. So we'll flatten this out a little bit, maybe with a hammer and dolly, and just try and fit this panel as it is. And then once we've got the clecos on it, we can really check it and see where we're at. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. It's not 1,000% perfect, but it's 100% good enough. So I think I'm gonna pattern out these two pieces and start making those. This is gonna be a very shallow crown because this is not dead straight here, even though it looks like it. It's got a shallow crown this way and a shallow crown this way. And then it's got this peak in the center. And that peak is, like I said before, that's that sharp body line in the trunk lid that's supposed to point right to the rear window. And we want to get that bang on, so that's going to be a separate piece that welds in. So we're going to have just a couple of very low crown pieces, and then we've got this reverse curve here, which will be a little bit of a tricky thing to do, but I think we're up for the challenge. We're going to reverse curve that a little bit so that it comes up into the back window nicely. And yeah, hopefully I don't screw that one up. All right, I kind of got a basic shape going here, and I didn't put a ton of information on this pattern. Really, I just kind of put a couple of lines where the stretch is gonna have to be for that reverse. And I added a little bit on the edge here, just this tape width, because I cut it right at the back window. So left a tiny bit extra. It's a tapering reverse also because it comes up to that peak. So that reverse is tighter here than it is towards the outside of the window, as far as I understand it. I'm not sure how to go about that yet. We've got the linear stretch dies and the planishing hammer now. We could use that. We could also do this reverse with the English wheel by wheeling, you know, inside to outside, a little bit more on the outside than you do to the inside. And then this is just gonna be like a basic low crown for the panel here. So I might run it over with the planishing hammer just to try and get a bit of linear stretch in here before we start banging out that crown, just because the dies are kind of flat in mine. I don't have curved linear dies, so not that it super matters, but just what I'm thinking. I don't have linear stretch dies for the power hammer either, so I probably would use that, to be honest, because it just hits so hard. And but I think I'll end up probably fine tuning this reverse curve with the English wheel is most likely what's going to happen, I think. It's kind of funny how close that is. I think the crown that's in it is actually quite good. Like this mild crown that's in there is pretty dang good. Even that reverse curve is coming up. So basically it's kind of holding it off here right now. The form can't quite touch because this reverse curve needs to be happening. So I think I'll wipe the panel, we'll go into the English wheel, and we'll work on that reverse a little bit, try and get it to settle down. Come have a look. Just with a tiny bit of pressure, we're able to get that right down. That's looking good. We've got this nice flow here. Everything is looking quite good. We've got this reverse in here, flowing nice. You can see the light line, a little bit wobbly right here. What do we got? Just like a little ridge right there. So maybe I'll wash over it with the English wheel with no rubber dye on it. But other than that, I mean, man, that is quite good. Well, went a little too far. Got a little bit too much reverse into it. So unfortunately, I'm gonna mark it up with the old shrinker here and just try and take a little bit of that out. I should actually mention that you could build this whole shape with a kick shrinker like this, and there's really nothing wrong with that. So if you do have like a deep throat kick shrinker stretcher, you could be stretching the edge incrementally and making this shape. If you watch the Roadster build and making that trunk lid, the upper panel we did basically with just this machine here, and it was totally fine. So yeah, it was so close when I first did it that I should have just left it. Like, oh well, that's how it goes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We're still a little bit, like this is better. We can get that to the window. Still needs to come down a little. Man, I really did a little bit too much there. Now we're sitting how we like it. That's gonna be good. I can cleco that down. Now just to get those shrink marks out of it without, yeah, stretching it too much or anything. Let's just say Carl is fed up with that little panel and I'm just gonna remake it because I'm not really happy with those. I was so close, like within the first 5 minutes, and then I screwed around with it for like half an hour and didn't get any closer. So, and then I put all those shrink marks into it. I'm not happy with it. So what I'm gonna do is just make another one. I'm gonna do the exact same thing I did to start with, and then try and maybe not use the power hammer to do the reverse curve, just like it's way less reverse curve than I thought. And so I learned from the first panel. That's what I'm saying, is like the first panel, I learned a lot. Really the curve is only like 2 inches wide here and only goes to like maybe 3 inches wide here. And I had like a massive area that I was trying to reverse, and that just wasn't the right read at all. So take 2. Literally did kind of what I said it would do. Check that out. Just the right amount of reverse. Look at the light line. It's smooth. That's why I remade the panel. Okay, sometimes you learn and then you redo and you just made it 10 times better. I'd like to throw a little shout out to Aiden at Bespoke Coachworks in Australia, in Canberra. I had the pleasure and the opportunity to go work with him a little bit at his shop. And I asked him to show me some reverse curve stuff. And I literally asked because of that panel. And he showed it to me on the English wheel, and that's why I kind of understand it. Obviously, like, I'm no expert. This is, you know, some of the first panels that I've really done using the technique, but if it weren't for him really explaining it to me, I would be struggling even more so, and I would not be as confident in what I'm showing you guys. So go give him some love. He's on Instagram, he's on YouTube. Not sure how much YouTube stuff he's doing at the moment, but anyway, Aiden, appreciate you. feels like it needs a little stretch here to allow this to sit down a little bit. Right now, this is sitting up a little bit and we're touching hard here. So we could stretch a little bit more here to allow that to fall a little bit. And we do kind of want a little bit more turn up on that. It's looking better. That came back down. You see that? That came back down. That edge is looking good. Our reverse is nice. It's getting a little bit tighter here. We're touching everywhere right now. I am going to just kind of probably leave it. I don't want to screw it up, so I'm very happy with it actually. Okay, we're gonna make the other side right now. Still a little bit of fine tuning I'm sure we can do to it to make it even a little bit better, but I'm very happy with where it's sitting right now. Yeah, I will probably do, what am I gonna do next? I guess maybe I'll try making that little strip for the center that has the, that sharp little body line in it. You know, I guess it's just gonna be like maybe like a 3-inch wide strip that has a peak right in the center. It's got to be a pretty sharp peak though, like you can see how sharp that is. So I might want to make a die that has the sharpness to sharpen it. I don't know. What should I do for that? How would I get like a really sharp one? I either make a die for the hammer jammer and get that sharp peak in it. That's probably the way to go, I guess. Let's get that roof skin hammered out one more time, try and make it a little bit better. So I'm probably not gonna go to the full size of this, but we will get that a little bit better and then go from there. Yeah, way better. It's like dead nuts, basically. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. All right, well, I am stoked with the way everything fits, and I'm gonna call that a wrap on this video. Thanks everybody for watching Make It Custom. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and stoked to be on the Zephyr, of course. We are gonna keep continuing on this thing and get these panels put together. I'm not sure what I'm gonna tackle next, probably that center bead there in the next video. Maybe we'll make the corners for this so that we can prepare ourselves for filling in the rest of the chop. There's tons of work to do on this car still. We got doors to put together, door inner structures. There's gonna be so many little things that we have to make. But anyway, much appreciated, and we'll catch you on the next one. Later, everybody.